Good morning and welcome back. So we keep asking the same question when it comes to Donald Trump. What are Democrats going to try to do next to get the former president? Because the media, the D.C. establishment, they'd all been after Donald Trump since the day after the 2016 election because, let's be honest, nobody seriously thought Trump was going to win back in 2016. Remember this poll a week before the 2016 election that had Hillary Clinton up by 12 points? Well, after Trump pulled off the biggest presidential upset we've ever seen, beating everyone that said he couldn't do it, beating a system that was designed to prevent him, Donald Trump, from ever happening, the Democratic Washington establishment have been trying to bring down the former president ever since. And once the Russia hoax failed, it was on to impeachment back in 2019 over a phone call that Trump had with Ukrainian President Zelensky. If you read it back today, it's laughable, considering where we are with President Zelensky and the war in Ukraine and Hunter and Joe Biden. But Trump basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically asked Zelensky to be on the lookout for Biden corruption. And this is a quote: "There is a lot of talk about Biden's son, that Biden stopped the prosecution, and a lot of people want to find out about that. So whatever you can do with the attorney general would be great." Biden went around bragging that he stopped the prosecution. So if you can look into it, it sounds horrible to me, end quote. And that is the extent of what Trump asked President Zelensky to do. And Democrats impeached him for it. They impeached him for it in a matter of weeks. The odd part is Biden did brag about firing that prosecutor.
They were walking out to the press conference. I said, "No," I said, "I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion." They said, "You have no authority. You're not the president." The president said. I said, "Call him." I said, "I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion." I said, "You're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here." And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, "I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money." Well, son of a got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Okay, 5 years later, it turns out there was something odd going on with Joe and Hunter Biden in Ukraine. In 2019, none of us knew about 10% for the big guy or Burisma. Anyway, after that, it was impeachment number 2. January 6 happens in 2021. A week later, without any investigation. Think about the investigation that Republicans have been conducting for the last year. Zero investigation. 1 week after January 6, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats in the House impeached Donald Trump for a second time for causing an insurrection, even though on January 6, Donald Trump said this:
"I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard."
All right, so that would have been case closed for anybody else in Washington, particularly politicians not named Donald Trump. But Democrats wanted to make sure Trump could never run for president again. But it clearly didn't work. All of a sudden, a strange thing started to happen as time went on. As we started to learn more about January the 6th, Donald Trump's numbers started to go up. Democrats must have been totally shocked, completely stunned. But when Trump announced that he was running for president last year, he was instantly the leading candidate for the nomination, and he's really never looked back. Democrats were stunned again. They thought they took care of this after they impeached him a second time, so Democrats circled the wagons again. 2023, just this past year. The year was all about indicting Donald Trump and putting him in jail. But 4 indictments and 91 counts later, with no trial dates set in stone, and with Trump's numbers going up and up, the calendar page suddenly flipped to the new year, 2024, an election year. And what are Democrats trying to do now? Well, they impeached him twice. That didn't work. The January 6th committee was supposed to disqualify Trump. That clearly didn't work. The 4 indictments haven't worked. Comparisons to Hitler, threats to democracy, that hasn't worked either. So now in 2024, it's get Trump off the ballot. If people can't vote for Donald Trump, he's not going to win. How can he be president, right? If people can't vote for him, there's no possible way that can happen, and that's where we are today. The fate of the former president rests now in the hands of 9 judges at the Supreme Court, who could easily stop what Democrats in Colorado and Maine and other states are trying to do. But if they don't, we're going to be asking the same question all over again. What are Democrats going to do next?